Happy Hanukkah. Thank you for joining in. We'll be lighting the Chanukah candles. It's Friday evening, and of course, remember that we light Chanukah candles before Shabbos candles. Once Shabbos candles are kindled, Shabbos is in, and you know that we don't light flame, so we have to light the Chanukah candles first. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kitshanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu lahadlik ner shel Chanukah. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam she'asa nisim la'avotenu Bayamim ha'em b'zman hazeh. Ma'os tzur Yeshuati l'chana el shabeach tikon beit tefilati v'sham toda nizlabeach liet tachin matbeach mitzar amna beach ozeng mor v'shir mizmor Chanukah mizbeach ozeng mor v'shir mizmor Chanukah mizbeach. Happy Hanukkah. Thank you for joining us, and in a moment we'll begin our Shabbat service, and you'll see as we begin Shabbat with the Shabbos candles that we're doing something a little bit different this week. We're welcoming Shabbat into the shul by appreciating that candles are being kindled in somebody's home. In this case, it's the home of the Rudnick family, and if you have candles, you're invited to light Shabbat candles along with them, or perhaps just say Amen as they say Shabbat candle blessings now.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kitshanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu lahadlik ner shel Shabbat.
Amen.
We're thankful for the Rudnicks for reaching out to us with an element of beauty from their home to our shul and to your homes. And now I offer a request and a call to any of our people. I'd love to see you lighting Shabbat candles in your home, and I encourage you to take a little video, perhaps with your cell phone, make it simple, and send it to me. And we want to incorporate your lighting Shabbat candles into our communal worship services. So feel free, light Shabbat candles, take a little recording and send it to me, and over the course of weeks to come, we'll be having you lighting Shabbat candles within our community prayer services. And now, again, we're always excited when Yehuda joins us for Guitar Shabbat. We're going to begin with Shalom Aleichem. If you have the siddur, it's on page number 5, Shalom Aleichem.
Shalom Aleichem, Malachei Hasharetz, Malachei Elyon. Mi Melech Malachei Hamlokim HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Moachem leShalom, Malachei HaShalom, Malachei Elyon. Melech Malachei Hamlokim HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Baruch Hu Ni leShalom, Malachei HaShalom, Malachei Elyon. Shalom Aleichem Shalom Malachi Elyon Mi Melech Malachi Hamlachim HaKadosh Baruch Hu.
Yedid Nefesh follows in the siddur on page number 10. Yedid Nefesh begins with the letter Yud. And many of us remember that Yud is the first letter of God's name. God's name is written in two specific manners, a Yud and a Hey, and a Vav and a Hey, or sometimes a Yud Yud. Both are pronounced Adonai, and that's seen as God's most direct name that any one of us can call out in worship, meditation, on any occasion. So the letter Yud bears great mystical power. And as Yehuda leads us in the Yedid Nefesh, you can think of the Yedid Nefesh, this poem, this song, as a way of trying to unlock God's own name to bring it closer to you and me.
Yedid Nefesh V'Rachman, Yedid Nefesh V'Rachman, Meishach Avdecha, El Ratzonecha, Meishach Avdecha, Yadadadadada, El Ratzonecha. Yedid Nefesh V'Rachman, Yedid Nefesh V'Rachman, Meishach Avdecha, El Ratzonecha, Meishach Avdecha, Yadadadadada, El Ratzonecha, Yarutz Avdecha, Kemo Ayah, Ishtachale Yadadai, Yadadadadai Mu Hadarcha. Yedid Nefesh V'Rachman, Yedid Nefesh V'Rachman, Meishach Avdecha, El Ratzonecha, Meishach Avdecha, Yadadadadai, El Ratzonecha.
Come on, one and all, let's all sing together. That's L'chun Ranana, and Yehuda brings to us his own melodic composition, his own composition of L'chun Ranana. It's on page 11. It's a psalm from the Bible. The words are 3,000 years old, but our own Yehuda Silverwolf, bringing music to our shul, shares this, his own innovation in terms of a composition with all of us. L'chun Ranana.
Bizmirot Naria Ranina. Lechune Ranina, la 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 la. Lechune Ranina. Lechune Ranina. Lechune Ranina, la 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 la. Lechune Ranina. Lechune Ranina. Lechune Ranina.
Every Shabbos, we have an opportunity to sing a new song, and that's this psalm from the Bible, Shir Ladonai, also on page number 13, and also Yehuda's innovation. And we're very excited about the music that Yehuda brings to us all, for us all to sing a new song, Shiru.
Shiru Ladonai, Shir Chadash, Shiru Ladonai, Kol Haaretz, Shiru Ladonai, Baruch Shemahu. Bazru miyom, yom Yeshuato. Sing to God a new song. Sing to God all the land. Sing to God and praise His name and tell of His saving hand. Shiru Ladonai, Shir Chadash, Shiru Ladonai, Kol Haaretz, Shiru Ladonai, Baruch Shemahu. Bazru miyom, yom Yeshuato. Sing to God a new song. Sing to God all the land. Sing to God and praise His name and tell of His saving hand. Shiru Ladonai, Shir Chadash, Shiru Ladonai, Kol Haaretz.
In the English, on page number 14, the English, bow to Adonai in the glory of this holy place. But we could translate the word worship. Worship God in the glory of this holy place. Tremble before God's presence, all who dwell on earth. Announce among the nations, Adonai reigns, God reigns. The land is firm and will not be moved. Peoples will be truthfully judged. This phrasing directed to a group. Without our being together as a group, we cannot worship the way that the siddur, the psalms, desire. We need to be together, and that's where you come in. And that's the import of your participation, your presence in your own homes, watching on various devices. You make a difference. And all of us now are worshiping God in the glory of this holy place. And what is this holy place? It's your home and her home and his home, all linked together in our community. And because of that, we're singing, we're happy, and Yehuda leads us in Yismechu Hashemayim. It's on page 14, the last stanza of the Hebrew.
Yismechu Hashamayim, Yismechu Hashamayim, Yismechu Hashamayim, V'takelam. ישמחו השמיים, ישמחו השמיים, ישמחו השמיים, ותגל הארץ. יירום הים, יירום הים, יירום הים ומלואו, יירום הים, יירום הים, יירום הים ומלואו. ישמחו השמיים, ישמחו השמיים, ישמחו השמיים, ותגל הארץ. ישמחו השמיים, ישמחו השמיים, ישמחו השמיים, ותגל הארץ. יירום הים, יירום הים, יירום הים ומלואו, יירום הים, יירום הים, יירום הים ומלואו. ישמחו השמיים, ישמחו השמיים, ישמחו השמיים, ותגל הארץ.
The English on page number 18. Call out to Adonai, all the earth, break out in joyful singing. The whole world is expected to sing to God. Sing to Adonai to the music of the lyre, lyre and voices making music together with horns and shofar cries. Trumpet the presence of the sovereign Adonai. And continuing, it's the same thing. The entire world is singing. Let the sea and all that is in it roar. And that's the introduction to the next piece by Yehuda in a moment. Romamu on page 20. When we lift our voices in song on Shabbos, on other occasions, on Chanukah, we're not singing alone or in a vacuum. As Jews, we sing out to God, and the entire world is accompanying us. Romamu.
Romemu Adonai Eloheinu Beshtakavu Le'ar Kodsho. Romemu Adonai Eloheinu Beshtakavu Le'ar Kodsho. Ki Kadosh Adonai Eloheinu Romemu. Ki Kadosh Adonai Eloheinu Romemu. Romemu Adonai Eloheinu Beshtakavu Le'ar Kodsho. Romemu Adonai Eloheinu Beshtakavu Le'ar Kodsho. Ki Kadosh Adonai Eloheinu Romemu. Ki Kadosh Adonai Eloheinu Romemu. Romemu Adonai Eloheinu Beshtakavu Le'ar Kodsho. Romemu Adonai Eloheinu Beshtakavu Le'ar Kodsho.
And now we're all warmed up. It's time for the L'Chadodi on page number 23, the first two stanzas, and on page 25, if you have the siddur, the last stanza. And a reminder, this is not a commercial or a promo, just an announcement and a reminder that the siddurim of the International Conservative Movement are still on sale. They're half price until the end of this month, in December. It's $29. And if you wish to have a siddur, which is a good idea because we are still in our homes for a time, and you should have a siddur. You should have access to the words, not only when you're joining in with us, during our broadcast live stream services, but also on your own. You should have access to the words of a modern, educated, sensitive feeling Jewish lifestyle. L'charodi.
L'chandodi likrot kala, B'nei Shabbat nekavela. L'chandodi likrot kala, B'nei Shabbat nekavela. Shamor v'zachor v'dibur echad, Ishmi'anu elam yuchad, Adonai echad u'shemo echad, V'shimol tiviret b'litila. L'chadodi likrot kala, B'nei Shabbat nekavela. L'chadodi likrot kala, B'nei Shabbat nekavela. Likrot Shabbat lechu v'neilcha, Ki makor havaracha, Rosh mikedem nesucha, Tov na'aseh v'shabbat tila. L'chadodi likrot kala, B'nei Shabbat nekavela. L'chadodi likrot kala, B'nei Shabbat nekavela. Bo'ui v'shalom atzeret bala, Gam v'simcha u'botzechola, Toch gemunei am tegula, Bo'ui chala, bo'ui chala. L'chadodi likrot kala, B'nei Shabbat nekavela. L'chadodi likrot kala, B'nei Shabbat nekavela.
Remaining standing for just a moment prior to the Baruch Hu, turning to page 28, the psalm known as the Psalm for Shabbat, but tonight I want to look at it just in a slightly different way. It's the first two stanzas. Surely your enemies, Adonai, surely your enemies will perish. All who commit evil will be scattered. But you, O God, raised my head high. You anointed it with fresh oil. We'll stop there for a moment. So each and every one of us has been anointed with oil. And this is reminiscent in the ancient times of Israel of how leaders were designated and set forth and brought out to support the community. A king or a queen to rule in a political manner and also a military fashion. The Kohen to lead the worship. And the Navi, the prophet, to bring forth God's message from a realm beyond to our own reality. Different types of service, political and military leadership, worship leadership, and hearing a word of God. And that's why oil was considered so significant, because it was through this oil, these drops poured upon people's heads, that these critical elements of community identity and leadership were dedicated and made clear. And yes, it was olive oil. And so here within the Psalm for Shabbat, which is speaking of how each and every one of us can be a leader in his or her own right, we have a reference to that same oil that was used in a myriad of ways. And of course, on Hanukkah, we're thinking about the rededication of the 7-branched menorah. Rising the Baruch Hu on page 39b. Baruch Hu et Adonai Hamavorach. Baruch Adonai Hamavorach Le'olam Va'ed. As we're seated, the first bracha loud, please, on the English side. Baruch Adonai, our God, sovereign of time and space. You completed your work of creation on the 7th day, calling this day from one evening to the next the holy Shabbat, and gave this day of rest in all its holiness to your people Israel, creator of day and night, rolling light before darkness and darkness from light, making day pass and bringing on the evening, distinguishing day from night. Adonai Tzvaot is your name. Living and ever-present God, may your rule be with us forever and ever. Baruch atah Adonai, who brings each evening's dusk. El chai v'kayam, tamidim lo chalein olam voed. Baruch atah Adonai, ha'ma'ariv ha'ravim. The first blessing of every evening service speaks of the transition from day to night. The second blessing speaks of love. Love that is filling the universe and love that is as eternal as God's will. God's will is that love always surround us. Ahavat olam. Thank you, Yehuda.
Ahavat olam, Ahavat olam, Beiti Yisrael, Ahavta. All the world sings to you, the world sings to you. All the world sings to you, the world sings to you. The song of the trees when wind stirs their leaves. The song of the earth when rain soothes its thirst. The song of the sea when waves are set free. The song of the sky when hummingbirds fly. Ahavat olam, Ahavat olam, Beiti Yisrael, Ahavta. All the world sings to you, the world sings to you. All the world sings to you, the world sings to you. The song of the trees when wind stirs their leaves. The song of the earth when rain soothes its thirst. The song of the sea when waves are set free. The song of the sky when hummingbirds fly. Ahavat olam, Ahavat olam, Beiti Yisrael, Ahavta. All the world sings to you, the world sings to you. All the world sings to you, the world sings to you.
V'avatachal tasir mimenu l'olamim. Baruch atah Adonai, ohev amo Yisrael. The Shema, please, page 41. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. Ve'afta et Adonai Elohecha b'chol levavcha u'b'chol nafshecha u'b'chol me'odecha ve'hayo hadavarim ha'ele asher anochi mitzavecha hayom al levavecha v'shinantam levanecha v'dibarta bam v'shivtecha b'veitecha u'v'lechtecha v'derech u'v'shachbecha v'kumecha u'kishartam la'ot al yadecha v'hayu letotafot beinenecha u'ktavtam al mezuzot beitecha u'v'sharecha. Adonai Elohechem emet. And just after the third paragraph of the Shema, we have the Michamocha. Who could possibly be like God? And of course the answer is nothing could be anything like God. Only God can do what God has done, bring the entire universe into physical experience, offering you and me the spirit of what each and every one of us is to come closer to God. That's our soul. And the preservation of the Jewish people, the fulfillment of Brit, the covenant. The Michamocha, courtesy of our own Yehuda, his own melodic composition, Michamocha, on page number 44.
chamocha nedar bakodesh. Norata ilo do sefele. Norata ilo do sefele. Ma'achutecha ra'uvanecha. Okeyam lifnei Moshe. Zeli anu ve'amru Adonai yimlok le'lam bayeh. Gaida dai 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 dai. Gaida dai 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 dai. Gaida dai 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 dai. Gaida dai 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 dai. Ichamocha mo'lim Adonai. Ichamocha nedar bakodesh. Norata ilo o sefele. Norata ilo do sefele. Norata ilo do sefele.
ונאמר כי פדרנו את יעקב וגאלו מיד חזק ממנו ברוך אתה אדוני גאל Yisrael. And immediately after our making a statement, blessed are you God, for you protected and redeemed Israel long ago. We call forth, O God, help us one more time, but not long ago, right now. It's the Hashkivenu. Assist us, O God. Help us to feel comforted and reassured and at peace as we prepare this evening to place our heads upon our pillows. God, gently tuck us in to bed this evening. Hashkivenu.
Hashkivenu Adonai Eloheinu leShalom Mehamidenu Malkeinu leChayim. Hashkivenu Adonai Eloheinu leShalom Mehamidenu Malkeinu leChayim. Ufro Saleinu Sukkah Shlomecha L'chaim u'shalom Me'ata ve'ad olam. Hashkivenu Adonai Eloheinu leShalom Mehamidenu Malkeinu leChayim. Hashkivenu Adonai Eloheinu leShalom Mehamidenu Malkeinu leChayim. U'leChayim.
And now Vishamru, the top of page 46.
Veshamru b'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat lasot et ha-Shabbat ledorotam berit olam. Uven b'nei Yisrael oti le'olam, oti le'olam, oti le'olam. Veshamru b'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat lasot et ha-Shabbat ledorotam berit olam. Ki sheshet yamim asa Adonai, asa Adonai et ha-shemayim v'et haaretz. Veshamru b'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat lasot et ha-Shabbat ledorotam berit olam. Ashvi, Shabbat by Nafash, Shabbat by Nafash, Shabbat by Nafash. Veshamru b'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat lasot et ha-Shabbat l'dorotam berit olam. Veshamru b'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat lasot et ha-Shabbat l'dorotam berit olam.
Yitkadal, Yitkadash, Shemei, Rabba, Amen, Ba'alma Divrachit Makote, B'chayechon, U'v'yomechon, U'v'chaye dechol Beit Yisrael, Ba'gala, Ba'gala, U'v'izman Kariv, V'imero, Amen. Yehi Shemei Rabba Mevarach L'olam Li'ol Me'al Maya Yitbarach Yitbarach V'yishtabach V'yitmartu Minaseh V'yidhadar V'yitaleh V'yitalal Shemei Dekudesha Brichu Le'la Mikol Birchata V'shirata Tushbechata v'nechemata da'amiran ba'alma v'imero. Amen. Some have a siddur and some may not. Allow me just a little bit of a departure, and those of you who have a siddur, I think you'll follow along as I explain. It's Chanukah. And chief, of course, among the Chanukah elements, observances, is the lighting of the Chanukiah, the Chanukah menorah, to remind us of the miracle of the oil. If you have a siddur, the traditional text for the Friday Night Amidah is on pages 47 through 52, and on page 50, after the prayer of gratitude, which is called Modim in Hebrew, we say a prayer known as Al-Hannistim, which is the only prayer in the entire Jewish tradition that actually is specific to Chanukah, the Al-Hannistim. And if you have the siddur, the Al-Hannistim is found on page 430, and if not, allow me to summarize, and then I ask your forbearance for just a moment, and a silent prayer thereafter. If you have a siddur, feel free to start davening the Amidah. You and I know that the chief element of Chanukah is the oil. And yet when you look at the only prayer in the entire siddur tradition that's specific to Chanukah, Al-Hannistim, there's no mention of the oils lasting for 8 days as a miracle. Significant to the passages, O God, our people fought, and they had you, and you stood by them, and you fought with them, and you championed their cause, and you avenged them, and you delivered the strong into the hands of the weak, the many into the hands of the few, the evildoers into the hands of the righteous, those who blasphemed into the hands of those who studied your Torah. You brought forth a great victory, O God. And that's the main element of the Al-Hannistim, which is the prayer that's specific to Chanukah. And then one final sentence. Your children entered the Holy of Holies of the temple, kindled lights in your sacred courts, and set aside these 8 days of rededication for celebration. But it doesn't say why 8 days. It doesn't say the oil. It just said, here, the main prayer associated with Chanukah, that people set aside time to celebrate. And I ask, why isn't the miracle of the oil mentioned in the only prayer that is specific to Chanukah? And I answer my own thought by saying, yes, of course the oil was important, But what's even more important is how you and I respond to experiences. And the Hashmon clan and their followers who did the fighting and laid their lives down responded to the experiences with gratitude and celebration. And that's why the Al-Hannistim is inside the little paragraph marked Modim, gratitude inside the Amida. And that's why I think the Al-Hannistim doesn't talk about the oil specifically, but highlights what's really important, how you and I respond to events and experiences. Hanukkah was then, but Hanukkah is still for us now. How do you and I respond to the opportunity to live as free Jews in a land? And I would answer by saying, with gratitude and celebration, a few moments of silent thought. And now, Al-Hannistim from our friend Yehuda, the prayer about the miraculous nature of Hanukkah itself and also how we celebrate that miracle. Al-Hannistim.
Al-Hannistim ve'al ha'burkan ve'al ha'gvurot ve'al ha'tshuot yalcha milchamot she'asita l'avotenu bayamim hahem b'zman hazeh. Al-Hannistim ve'al ha'burkan ve'al ha'gvurot ve'al ha'tshuot yalcha milchamot she'asita l'avotenu bayamim hahem b'zman hazeh. Al-Hannistim ve'al ha'burkan ve'al ha'gvurot ve'al ha'tshuot v'yalcha milchamot she'asita l'avotenu bayamim hahem b'zman hazeh.
And now the concluding bracha of the Amida is the Shalom Rav. May there be great peace throughout the entire world. Yehuda?
Shalom Rav al Yisrael Amha Tasim Le'olam. Shalom Rav Yisrael Amha Tasim Le'olam. Ki atah melech hador lechol hashalom. Ki atah melech hador lechol hashalom. Shalom Rav al Yisrael Amha Tasim Le'olam. Shalom Rav al Yisrael Amha Tasim Le'olam. Tov enecha lev Tasim leolam, tasim leolam.
Happy Hanukkah. You noticed that at the very beginning of the service we lit Chanukah candles, and perhaps you noticed that the light in the room itself was much brighter than it is now. If so, and you observed that, you're an observant Jew. We're supposed to light Shabbat candles at sundown. And once we light Shabbat candles, as you know, based upon the Torah, we don't light any more flames. So therefore, we like to light Hanukkah candles before Shabbos candles, and that's what we did. And they kept on burning down. And here's the Hanukkah that we had. And you obviously saw that Shabbat candles were kindled courtesy of the Rudniks. And as I said before, I'm hoping that other people in our shul will offer to light Shabbat candles in their homes and send us a video recording just from their cell phones, and we will incorporate those elements of light into our shul. I'm thinking about light this evening. Tonight's the second night of Hanukkah, which means that all throughout this land, all across the world, the amount of light energy that we Jews brought into the world is double that of what we did last night. Every Jewish home is a sanctuary of light. Take hold of that element, that message that your home is a sanctuary of light. Your home is an opportunity to bring light and glow, a chasing away of darkness and of dispelling fear into the world itself. There's a little bit of a contrast between Hanukkah lights, Hanukkah flames, and Shabbos candles or Shabbos flames. The irony is that Shabbat, as you know, is a season when we're not supposed to do any kind of work. We're supposed to rest and reflect and pause and desist from our labors. But when it comes to having Shabbos candles in our homes, we're allowed to read by them. We're supposed to walk around and enjoy them and so on. And on Hanukkah, during at least the 7 days of Hanukkah when it's not Shabbos, Hanukkah, of course, is an ordinary day except for lighting the flames, and we can work. In fact, we're supposed to work and be involved in all of our ordinary businesses and experiences and the like on Hanukkah. But in terms of the Hanukkah flames, we're not allowed to use them. We're not allowed to read by them or balance a checkbook by them or do any kind of work by them. We're just supposed to look at the flames. Just look at the flames and enjoy them. That's all we're allowed to do with the Hanukkah flames. So here we have Hanukkah, which is an experience of ordinary time, but don't use the flames, just look at them and enjoy them. And Shabbos, which is a time period where we don't work at all, but you're allowed to almost, if you will, work a little bit by the Shabbos flames. And how do we handle that twist, that sense of paradoxical nature of the flames? And so now I remind us all that Shabbos flames on Friday evening remind us of that very beginning of the creation of the universe, when God brought the entire universe into reality, into experience. And please remember, folks, that when the entire world was created, there was no such thing as religion. And there was no such thing as Jews. There was just the beauty of the universe and then the origination slowly of humanity. And that's what Shabbat is all about in terms of creation and light. It's the bringing of reality, physical space, and human life and being into world, into existence. And that's what we're supposed to remember when it comes to the two flames and how to appreciate light. And we can benefit from that light, even do a little bit, something like reading or maybe clearing off the table. We can take hold of that light because that light is to bring the entire reality of all humanity and everything else into being. It's activity. It's being. But when it comes to Chanukah, Chanukah is an entirely different story. Chanukah is a Jewish story specifically only to Jews. And it's because Jewish people got up and they worked and they fought and they resisted. And if they had not fought and worked and resisted, there would be no Jewish people on the planet today. And that's what the light of that 1 day's worth, 8 days worth miracle of oil brings into your and my experience. That Jewish people worked hard and fought, and many died, and others picked up the challenge thereafter, so that we might all, 2,200 years later, be alive here in this place, in this world, so that we can continue to bring Judaism into the next generation and the next and thereafter. And because of all that extra hard work and devotion and sacrifice, when you and I look at those lights, we're not supposed to work. We're supposed to appreciate what it means to have that glow that chases away a different type of darkness. Happy Chanukah, good Shabbos, and please join me in Kiddush. Baruch atah Eloheinu melech haolam, borei peri hagafen. Baruch atah Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kitshana b'mitzvotav v'ratzavanu, b'shabbat kodsho b'yavav ratzon inchilanu, zikaron l'maseh v'reshit. Ki hu yom techila l'mikra'e kodesh, zecher l'tziat mitzrayim. Ki vanu v'acharta, v'yotanu kidashta, mikol ha'amim, v'shabbat kodshecha, v'yahava v'ratzon, hinchaltanu. Baruch atah Mikadesh HaShabbat. Baruch atah Eloheinu melech haolam, hamotzi lechem min haaretz. Remaining standing, please, the Oleinu. The Oleinu in the siddur, if you have the siddur, is on page number 56. And again, I know there are a few people joining us this evening. If you're interested in purchasing a siddur, just contact me and I'll help you do so. Page 56. Aleinu l'shabeach ladon hakol, lateit gedula liotzer breshit, shelo asanu kugoye haratzot, velo samanu kimishpachot adama, shelo sam chelkeinu kahem, vegor aleinu kechol hamonam, v'anachnu korim, umishtachavim umodim, lifnei melech malchei amlochim, hakadosh baruch hu, shehu noteh shamayim v'yosei haaretz, Moshav Yekaro Bashamayim Mimam Ushchinatu Zo Begave Meromim Hu Eloheinu Einod Emet Malkeinu Efezulaton Kakatu B'Toraton Fiodata Yom Vashevota Elavavecha Ki Adonai hu Elohim b'shamayim mimon v'al haaretz mitachat einod. ככתוב בתורתך, אדוני ימלוך לעולם ועד, ונאמר, והיה אדוני למלך על כל הארץ. ביום ההוא יהיה אדוני אחד, ושמו אחד. In just a moment, the mourner's Kaddish, we have a list of names of our shul whom we are remembering, and if you know of someone else, please mention that person's name at this time as we bring our love and our prayer all together for all of us. Remembering Sam Linick, Milka Stein, Edith Layden, Moshe Stein, Dora Rosenthal, Gwyn Dean, Joseph Munikeisen, Abraham Mazel, Sarah Bell Reese, Harriet Rips Powers, Eunice Wertheim, William Abrams, Carol Worth, Emma Jett, Morris Mishevsky, Hyman Gilbert Buckman, Mary Mazel Kahn, Zalman Aaron Weber, Chaya Rachel Weber. Page 58. Yitgadal v'yitkadash shemei rabba. Amen. Be'alma divra chirute v'yamlich malchute. B'chaye chon v'yom echon v'chaye dechol beit Yisrael. Ba'agala uvizman kariv v'imiru. Amen. Yehei shmei rabba mevarach la'alam olalmei olmaya. Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitromam v'yitnaseh. V'yithadar v'yit'aleh v'yithalal shmei dekudesha brichu le'ela min kol birchata v'shirata tushbechata v'nechemata da'amiran ba'alma v'imiru. Amen. Yehei shlama rabba min shemaya v'chayim aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'imiru. Amen. Oseh shalom b'mromav hu ya'aseh shalom aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'imiru. Amen. May all of us who are in a spiritual place where we are not grieving and mourning be granted the sensitivity and the compassion to reach out to those of you who are grieving and mourning. And may you understand how important you are and how loved you are and how cherished you are. May you gain comfort. A few brief announcements, and then we'll conclude with a very special piece by Yehuda, and I'm sure you'll catch on. It's a very special piece. It'll be our final piece, and we'll conclude our services. Reminders, of course, that tomorrow morning we have services. Tomorrow evening we'll be lighting Chanukah candles with the Alabama Community Virtual Havdalah, but because it's Shabbos, we can't light Chanukah candles until Havdalah is over. So we'll be doing Havdalah as we normally do, and you're welcome to join in for Havdalah, which is at 7 p.m. And after Havdalah, we will light Chanukah candles together, and we have some songs. Again, we're excited because Yehuda and Turia will be joining in. And if you haven't met Turia yet, I don't know where you've been. She's been with us now for about 8 months. She's got a phenomenal voice. We're very excited because Miriam is here. Miriam's been with us for Community Havdalah now for about 8 months, and she's got a terrific, wonderful voice. Miriam and Turia are both from Auburn. Of course, Cantor Neil Schwartz is the conservative cantor, and he's in Dothan. Magnificent voice. And Charles Barron has recently joined us as well. So we've got a beautiful Havdalah and Chanukah candle lighting. That's tomorrow night at 7. And if you've already made plans to join in for that special Nefesh Mountain concert that Ahavas Chesed is bringing to its shul members, go ahead, feel free, unless you want to join in for Havdalah and then go to the concert. your choice. And that Saturday, Sunday, of course, I mentioned this before, and it's true. We're inviting 8, 9, 10, maybe 12 people to the shul outside. Dan Krause is going to be giving us a lesson how to make homebrew. Yes, he's going to set up his equipment, how to brew our own beer, homebrew. It's at 11 o'clock. It's outside the shul. It's under the front canopy. Bring your own chair, and we'll have a little bit of fun. That's tomorrow from 11 to about 12:30, 1 o'clock. And we look forward to it. Sunday morning. We don't make beer on Shabbos. That's Sunday morning, pardon me. That was a test, by the way. Thank you very much. Monday is Tanakh study on Zoom. And, of course, lighting the fourth candle. And Tuesday is the Spirit series. The topic for Tuesday's discussion is, do we have miracles today? And I think we'll stop because I think you're tired of all these announcements. So now we're going to conclude, and we're also excited. Not only is Yehuda bringing a song to us, but his niece Elizabeth is joining in, and I'm sure you know the song, so sing along with Yehuda, and may I say Shabbat Shalom and Happy Chanukah.
Dreidel, 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 I made you out of clay. When you're dry and ready, with dreidel I will play. It has a lovely body, with legs so short and thin. When it gets all tired, it drops and then I win. Oh, dreidel, 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 I made you out of clay. When you're dry and ready, with dreidel I will play. I have a little dreidel, it loves to dance and spin. A happy game of dreidel, come play now, let's begin. Oh, dreidel, 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 I made you out of clay. When you're dry and ready, with dreidel I will play. Oh, dreidel, 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 I made you out of clay. When you're dry and ready, with dreidel I will play.